Welcome to Celebrity Interviews with Paul. I have today with me Dr. Trini Matthew. Trini is a member of the Lutheran Church of the Master Choir, longing to be able to sing in person again, we know. She is also a local infectious disease doctor, and so it is a joy to have you with us, Dr. Matthew. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate joining you and having this conversation today.
Excellent. How is life in the pandemic for you?
Well, the life in the pandemic as a physician is constantly being flexible and constantly having to pivot on different information and different facts that we get and, modifying and constantly changing. Change is constant now.
Mm-hmm. It certainly is. And we're always kind of having to adapt to what's going on. Now we continue to see kind of significant numbers in our community. And in some ways I see it kind of the COVID experience drawing closer. Over the weekend, I had a friend who is a pastor in the synod in her 40s who died of COVID on Sunday,
Oh, no.
Jill Heather. So we keep her family in our prayers. So in the midst of Thanksgiving, of holidays and Christmas and all that, how are we doing in our community with COVID and with the spread of COVID?
Yeah, and what you brought up is really of concern, the fact that we still continue to have deaths. We've learned a lot since our spring surge and how to manage our patients, but also in the community, people are learning a lot. What I've seen also is that folks are aware about some of the signs and symptoms of COVID and may not be seeking care and not getting tested, and therefore they may come to us with subsequent complications. So that's unfortunate also what we're seeing. But again,
so you're seeing people who have symptoms like minor or early symptoms, and they think, I don't want to be quarantined for 2 weeks, so they don't get treatment.
They just opt not to get tested because they know it, and with the family, they may be opting not to get tested. So the data that we get from Oakland County actually shows that our numbers have come down again. So we had that high, peak again going in November, and you may recall that you and I had the conversation and concerns about in-person service again as I saw the numbers go up. And then now we are on the downward trend. But occasionally we may have some people who are opting not to go and get tested. So one thing is that of concern to me is the fact that they may think they have COVID, or it could be some of the viral infection, but then they could also have complications after you recover from the acute phase of COVID. So we do see that unfortunately deaths are happening. And of course, Oakland County dashboard, if you look at it, it just documents deaths. So it's still, we're definitely not out of the woods. However, we have much hope now, given that we have now the vaccines available.
Right. Now, you I understand, recently got the first dose of the vaccine. Want to know how that goes. Also, very curious, do you have any new superpowers?
Well, I wish I did have some superpowers. That's an easier question to answer first, apart from what, we have from up above, the powers that God gives us on a daily basis, the strength to overcome this. But yes, I was really excited to get my first dose on Saturday. So what I experienced, of course, is the needle goes in, hardly any pain at all, And what's interesting as a physician is with this one, they have to keep the needle in for a while. But I did manage to get someone to take a photo of me. So it's not that I was in pain or anything like that. So that's very interesting compared to the other immunizations. If you recall getting it, they finish it and they take out the needle. Here they instructed to keep it in still for a while to finish up completely. But after that, no pain, nothing. Then later on, a few hours later is when I noticed, of course, the area where the injection was given, I felt the pain. And that's expected. So if you've had a flu shot for this season, you may have less likely had that experience of pain. But if you compare between influenza shot and the Tdap shot, a tetanus shot, this might be more towards the pain I've experienced in the past many years ago from tetanus, from the Tdap shot. But that's pretty much it that I had. And what's really exciting is the fact that you may opt to be part of giving information about what are the side effects you're experiencing, because CDC has this really cool way of gathering information from us. Those who are immunized, we get a text message reminding us to check in with them. And they do it daily. So I had my first check-in a couple of hours after I got my dose, because while we're waiting to see how we're doing, we sign up for this. You may opt to sign up for this. So in a way, it's exciting. It's really historical to be part of this. A lot of volunteers took this, but I didn't have an opportunity then at that point because I was working on other aspects. but now I can contribute to science to help understand what are the side effects as healthcare personnel are getting these shots. So they check in with you daily for the first week, and then later on less frequently, but to see how we're doing.
Well, how did they, this is obviously one of the fastest developed vaccines to a novel disease. How did this happen so quickly?
Well, there was this existing platform, this existing science that had been already worked upon for decades. It's called as a messenger RNA form of getting immunizations done, but also it's used for cancer therapeutics. So that's the reason why this platform, the science had already been working on this. Scientists here had been working. And so we had this existing platform, and what they call it as plug and play. So you just take a small piece of the viral genome, which is the RNA piece of it, and then it comes to us in a lot of lipid molecules, nanoparticles to code it, to keep the messenger safe, and then it comes to us in our cells. And then the good thing is it just stays in the cytoplasm, if you remember your biology, the shape of the cell and what the structure is like. And then it gives us message, or it kind of tells us what protein to make, our cells to make. And then the protein is then shown on top of our cell. And then our immune system takes over and starts producing the antibody to a specific part of the COVID virus protein. So therefore, we are already protected against it. So this platform existed. So it was no surprise that the first two candidates that we have is based on this platform that people were already working on.
Now, will this protect us from other coronavirus? Because corona, doesn't that that refers like to the spikiness of it, right? Will this vaccine potentially protect us from other coronaviruses?
Good question. Actually, the vaccine is specific to a certain part of that spike protein that you brought up about.
Okay.
So this is pretty much, we do get the common cold, the other coronaviruses that we know about commonly in humans we've had, 4 different types, that we have. But this is specific, again, targeting the protein that the SARS coronavirus 2 uses to attach to our cells. So when we get an antibody against it, then we are protected against true invasion by the virus.
So you got the vaccine. I mean, it's not been out very long. You can time it with a stopwatch. You took it right away. So I assume that means you're fully comfortable with what it's going to do in your body. You're not worried about adverse reactions and that kind of stuff?
Yes, and actually that's one thing people have been always concerned about. So I'm glad, Pastor, you brought that up, because they've never seen a vaccine come out so quickly. And again, the platform existed, and this platform is so unique that you can make it really quickly. But we had a lot of thousands and thousands of volunteers who took it, right? Who either got a placebo or the true form of it. And we have data from that. And that's what reassures me. Now, of course, with any kind of drug, any vaccine, after it's marketed, even in the regular way of marketing that the FDA provides approval, we always learn about other side effects. So take an antibiotic that we've been using for decades, call us a levofloxacin, ciprofloxacin. People routinely were using it. And slowly we accrued information. Now there's a concern that this antibiotic has major side effects and can cause problems to people. So it should not be that widely used. Similarly, with this vaccine, it has gone through its initial approval, evaluation, authorization, emergency authorization was granted, and now we will get the post-marketing, or in some respect, the phase 4, we will get some more information as more of us take this vaccine. And we expect that there'll be more side effects, more adverse events as more people get it, because this was done in, in study settings, but now we're talking about real world data that we are doing.
Well, it's one thing to give it to 10 or 20 or 30 or 40,000 people. It's another to give it to 40 or 50 or 60 million people. You got a whole lot more variety of people, and it's going to be administered slightly differently because humans are involved in that process too, and we don't do everything the same all the time. So we'll continue to learn more. So now, so you get the vaccine today, and then 3 weeks later you get another shot. And then a week after that, I understand that there's an estimation at that point you're safe. Does that mean then that I can, you know, a month after I get that first shot, a week after I get the second one, I can throw away my mask? I don't have to do that anymore ever again?
I'm glad you brought that up, because actually the quick answer is no. You know, we're learning a lot more. Yes, I'm sorry, but we still
I'm
will
just
need to
kidding.
wear the mask. We'll still need to
Yeah.
wear the mask. We'll still need to do that social distancing. Good. Yes, excellent. And that's what we're going to learn from real world data. You know, as
Mm-hmm.
more of us, you know, start interacting after our immunizations, you know, all of
Mm-hmm.
us might develop antibody response differently, you know, as we get
Okay.
into the older population, you know,
Mm-hmm.
others, we don't know how a body is building that antibody response. So therefore, you don't want to take that risk, you know, whether
Mm-hmm.
you get accidentally infected from someone else, and you may
Mm-hmm.
not realize you're infected, and we're still learning whether that infection can potentially lead to transmitting to someone else.
So, so sort of like the asymptomatic cases we're having now, who could be transmitters and never have symptoms. I've known people who only found out that they had COVID positive antibodies after something like donating blood, for example, because the Red Cross, you know, goes through, and then they find out. And there's plenty of stories like that of people who are completely asymptomatic and then could have been potentially carriers, which is why we all wear our masks and stay safe and stay distant.
Yes, yes. And I think we've had that discussion a few months back about that, why it's so important to wear the mask still. Again,
Mm-hmm.
not just to protect you, but to protect others around you. And that's the thing,
Right.
especially myself as a physician, that is one of the reasons I wanted to get my shot as soon as I could get it,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't inadvertently want to infect a patient of mine. As an infectious disease physician, we
Sure.
really see the people who are really some of the sickest people and those who are immunocompromised, who
Mm-hmm.
may or may not get a good antibody response even when they get the vaccine, just like how we know with influenza season, right? So I go first to get my shot for that too, and I already did that. So
Mm-hmm.
again, the same thing. I think it is, in some respects, of course, as a physician, it's my duty to protect
Sure.
others around me. And so therefore, I'll be first in line whenever I can to get that immunizations and shot. I don't care for needles. I totally understand when people say that they faint. That's understandable, but there's still something to consider finally done with.
So when do I get the vaccine? Oh, Trini, can you hear me?
When you get when you will get your,
Yeah. When can I?
yes,
When
for a
do you
minute,
think
I
I
think
can
we
get the
lost.
vaccine?
So,
Sorry. Yeah. When can
so
I
it
get the
depends on the
vaccine?
age group.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
depends on the age group, and CDC's ACIP, the Advisory Committee for Immunization Practices, that committee has been meeting. They met on Saturday and Sunday, and they
Mm-hmm.
have said the next phase would be phase 1B and 1C, which
Mm-hmm.
includes people age greater than 74, and then again 75, and then between age 65 and 74. So again, we'll scale up based on the
Mm-hmm.
availability of immunizations and the doses available. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's hard to predict, but, you know, 2021, early part of 2021, we will be open. I'm sure now that we have two different candidates, you know, we will be having more doses available. So it should be maybe by spring or by, you know, early summer, people should all be getting opportunity to be immunized. So I really
Okay.
don't have a target date for you, but I think I'm glad we're having conversations, because that's when, as soon as it's available, then you'd be in line to
Right.
get it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I figure I know I'm not towards the front. I'm going to be somewhere towards the back these days. So it'll be a while, but we'll get there.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So where do you find joy in the midst of all these things?
Well, I think that's one of the reasons having this conversation, you know, to be able to share with people some of the science behind all this, what we're learning, and to share right away, connecting with people. Again, you know, through
Mm-hmm.
church, everyone has been connecting on Zoom. And of course, you have been having, for us, the services. We, of course, have that opportunity for in-person service. Now
Mm-hmm.
the streaming that we have. And of course, for me, of course, it's music. Even today, I was listening to the Messiah, you know, all the pieces of that, you know,
Mm-hmm.
music. And whenever you get a chance to sing, if you're
Mm-hmm.
in your own, you know, quarantine pod, you can sing.
Right.
And of course, you know, figuring out what we can do for others, right? I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the meaning of life, you know, is you have to be able to serve others. So I think it depends on all of us how we want to kind of bring out our creative efforts, and that can be a way to serve others, you know, music, singing, and of course, you know, connecting with people with leveraging technology.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, it's exciting to see the vaccine. It gives us all kind of hope that something like normal will return, or at least like what 2019 used to be like, and that will be wonderful. And I know it'll feel good just to flip the calendar and at least see a 21 instead of a 20 moving forward. So I'm glad to hear there's hope, and it's exciting to hear kind of how they developed the vaccine and where it came from and why it's not really brand new.
Correct.
Kind of adapting an old and well used and well understood platform to a new and novel disease. Well, thank you for your work. Thank you for your knowledge and insight. And we'll post a bunch of links to the CDC sites in the notes to the video, so that folks can go check out more information there and learn more. And let's all get in line and get vaccinated.
Thank you. And again, we have hope for this Christmas. So this is really exciting times for us now.
Absolutely. Thank you, Trini.
Thank
Take care.
you. Thank you very much.